My dear brothers and sisters, God did not make death. Do you accept this? God did not make death. And you shall proclaim always, God did not make death. And that was the first reading for you, if you have heard it. And He does not delight in death. He does not delight in death. For He created each one of us as imperishable ones, because you and I are created out of His own image. And therefore God, who desired to create you out of His own image, does not desire that you have to die. Therefore, God did not create or make death. This puzzling doctrine in the Catholic Church makes you realize that it is not death that we are speaking about. Because in our mind, death means end. Death means end. We see so many people dying. And as soon as someone in your house is very serious, immediately a thought comes, death. Now the end. Therefore you find that death has come. But how it has come, I will take you later on to that part. But you and I should know death is not an end. For we know God, who created this world, created life. He didn't create death at all. But from where did this death come? When He created also the angels. And the angels were given freedom. Freedom. And therefore you find that the freedom that was given to the angels was misused. Therefore you have the fallen angels. And you know who's heading the fallen angels. Who's heading the fallen angels? Lucifer. What is the meaning of Lucifer? The light bearer. The meaning of Lucifer is the light bearer. But what has happened to Lucifer is eternally gone into darkness, because they have revolted against God, for they wanted to become greater than God when the freedom was given. And that is how the enemy, the devil, created death. It is because of this that death has come into the world. Death was created by the devil. God made the man imperishable. The enemy, that of the devil, caused death. Death is only a dissolution of the body. Dissolution of the body. And sinners could experience this death. So we find the fallen angels, we find sin coming into existence, we know that evil one has brought this death because of his enmity. The enmity is there. That is why we see in the book of Genesis, the enmity between you and the seed. Which means the enmity of the fallen angels remains still in the world. Now, when we look at that, we have become alienated from God because of sin. Now, when sin comes into the world, you and I also have the same freedom of what was given to angels. And you and I, by our own weakness, fall into sin. And when we fall into sin, then we are alienated from God. When we are alienated, death is seen in us. But death is seen not as an end again, because we have something beyond death. We find ourselves unable to surrender. Unable to surrender because we are unable to trust. Now, because we see trust is very important. We are unable to surrender before God and say, yes, I will be pure, I will not fall into sin. And we are unable to trust in God. Now, what is this trust? Jesus says, the attitude of a person with sin is no trust. The attitude of a person without sin is trust. So if you have trust, you are without sin. That is why our trust is not total. We all waver in our trust. We all waver in our faith. But if our trust is pure and holy, I'm sure some of you are without sin. The second important aspect that we see is trustful falling is to sleep. And that is how we see the lack of trust is sin. The second aspect that we see is that Jesus says, he meets the mourners in today's gospel reading. And he says, this girl is not dead. She is asleep. Now, he knows that the end has come to this little girl. But he says, she is not dead. She is asleep. So now you know the Son of God. What is death for the Son of God? For the Son of God, death is only a sleep, not an end. That you should remember. Therefore we see that they all mock at him, they laugh at him, but Jesus says, death is also falling into sleep. Now, physical death, because of sin, we all know can be an end. But there are beautiful people without sin dying. That is, in other words, falling asleep. We will go to our Blessed Mother. She was without original sin. Therefore, death did not take place in her. What happened to her is that she fell asleep. And thereafterwards, God assumed her into heaven, body and soul. Now, if you and I have no sin in us, then automatically my body will fall asleep and I will be taken up into heaven. That is how you and I should look at death. Someone who never sinned is the one who will never experience that physical death, but only fall asleep. Coming to the gospel, you find Jesus Christ performing two miracles. A woman who was suffering from hemorrhage for so many years, in a way, dead to herself. Like any one of us, why this sickness to me? I don't know, what shall I do? Even a little sugar, a little diabetics to you, you will think about my end is coming very fast. You will immediately count your years. You will immediately brood over it. Therefore, you very clearly see that when such things happen in your life, you are almost dead. And that is the reason why Jesus comes to show that this woman was almost dead in herself. She went to so many doctors, she went to so many people, nothing happened. But the trust in Jesus was there. That is very important. Therefore she goes from behind, touches his cloak, and she is cured. She gets life back. And that is how you and I will see death as. That trust will remove sin from us. And you and I will know that death can only make us fall asleep. And we have a beautiful life where he will take care of it. The second aspect is this little girl who's dead. They all say she is dead, declared. And we all want a declaration. So and so is dead. Where is the death certificate? You and I should say, so and so has gone to sleep. Why? Because this person trusted in God. There is a hope in God that he will give you life in all its fullness. Therefore, every Christian should know that we are not going to die and death is going to bring an end in our lives, but you and I are going to fall asleep. Therefore, Jesus goes, takes her hand, little girl, get up. And she gets up. She walks. And being a young girl, she is so happy, now full of life again. Looking at the world around, you and I will see so many deaths happening. And sometimes you and I can't believe the way death is met by so many people. That the world sees death as a very terrible moment in life. That it taunts each and every one. If you see the terrorists that cause death, the ISIS who cause death, how young boys and girls die, they fall asleep if they only had that belief. For Jesus will say to you and to each and every one of you, your faith has made you well. The little faith that you have is that which counts. For me, am I having that faith? Do I trust in God? Well, my dear friends, you come here for Mass. Do you believe that Jesus is going to come on the altar? Do you believe that the bread and wine is going to change?